There has never been a better time than now to come join the Bellisio Foods team. Bellisio has a new contract in place with plenty of awesome perks for their employees. From increased wages, access to the free health clinic, vacation after 6 months, and much more, Bellisio Foods is committed to putting their employees first. For more information or to apply, visit BellisioFoods.com/careers. Take advantage of these great new employee benefits and join the Bellisio team today. Visit BellisioFoods.com/careers to learn more. We at Orange Crush have many things to be thankful for, including everyone who makes Orange Crush a part of their day. To show our thanks, Orange Crush, WKOV, and participating Save-A-Lot locations will be giving away Thanksgiving turkeys to dozens of winners because even though Thanksgiving celebrations still might look different this year, we know Thanksgiving favorites will still be a part of your plan. Visit GJPepsiContest.com/turkey to find out where you can enter to win now through November 18th. No purchase is necessary. See official rules for details.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. And, of course, Jennifer here to start off your morning with a very special guest we have in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, and this is Rosa Aldridge, and you have quite a story to tell.
I do. I have quite a story.
Yes. We're so happy to have you here, and this is going to be such a fun show. So grab you some coffee and sit back, and we're going to hear about some really neat things, including the Olympics.
Yes.
Very, very good. All right, so before we get on to anything else, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers and let them know where you're from and all of that stuff, how you got here.
How I got here. Okay. Well, my name is Rosa Aldridge. I'm originally from Jackson County. So I grew up here. I went to high school and everything. And I mean, do you mean how I got here and as in
Any
Japan,
of it?
or?
Yeah, no. So you grew up here in Jackson or in the?
Yes, in Jackson.
Okay, very good. And you graduated from high school. This is what we do. A couple of years ago.
Yes,
what
a couple of years ago.
This is how we speak here in the studio. Everything's a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yes. So graduated a couple of years ago, and then what happened?
Well, actually, so I was really heavily involved in 4-H.
Yes.
So 4-H is such a great program. I actually became involved in their exchange program called LABO.
I didn't know that existed.
Yes.
I must admit, and I was in 4-H all my life.
Well, I actually attended some of the 4-H conferences, and so I was able to actually attend one of the sessions that talked about the exchange programs that are available within the 4-H program.
Okay.
So
how cool.
Yeah, after I attended that, I immediately ran and I was like, Mom, we got to do this. We have to do this. So we immediately signed up for, we actually ended up hosting 3 students in total over the course of my high school years.
Okay.
Yeah, and that actually put me on track for my career in Japan. So during my first time hosting an exchange student, actually, we hosted a 1-month homestay, girl from Tokyo, actually.
From Japan?
Yeah, from Japan.
So wait, is 4-H worldwide?
So 4-H I don't think is worldwide, but they do have connections with other programs outside of the United States.
Good for you,
yeah.
4-H. Who knew?
Yeah, so one of the programs is called LABO, and that's actually in Japan, and so they're connected with the 4-H program. Yeah, so they actually send Japanese exchange students all over the United States to different counties that have 4-H programs.
How cool.
Yeah, so if you didn't know that, look it up.
I had no idea. That is so neat.
Yeah, so actually, when I hosted my first exchange student, though, we attended leadership camp through the 4-H program.
Okay.
And when we were there, we happened to actually meet another exchange student. But this exchange student, she wasn't able to speak any English. So she would use a paperback dictionary and point to words and use gestures to try and communicate what she wanted to say.
Okay.
So immediately, when my exchange student met her, they both, of course, just instantly clicked, and it was great.
Yes.
For a day.
For a day.
For a day. So what happened, though, is we actually talked to the leaders of the camp, and we're like, hey, she's feeling like homesick. She's struggling to communicate. Would it be possible for her and my exchange student to just, instead of doing all the classes because it was kind of difficult for them to understand everything, would it be possible if they just did a separate thing together?
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. So I was there to help kind of facilitate the communication. But at that point in my life, I was not able to speak Japanese.
At all.
Other than konnichiwa.
Which means?
Hello.
Oh, now you know.
Now you know, yeah. So, for a day it was great. But the next morning, when the girl was woken up by her actual host sister, I guess in her mind she just was kind of over the fact that she couldn't communicate, and she just kind of snapped. So there was a big incident that happened.
An incident.
I won't go into too much detail,
Okay.
but that incident made me feel that if I was able to speak Japanese, maybe I could have made that girl's experience here in America and in Ohio better.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to learn Japanese after that. And
Okay.
so when I was looking for colleges and everything, I was like, I'm gonna go learn Japanese. And of course,
I mean, normal everyday stuff. I'm going to go learn
Yeah.
Japanese.
I'm gonna learn Japanese, which that also just messed up all the teachers at the high school because they thought I was going to go do music or art. And I'm like, no,
No Japanese.
Japanese is the new thing.
Oh, girl.
Yep. So I actually applied to Earlham College, and my major is Japanese studies. So I did that.
So here's little girl from Jackson, Ohio,
Yep.
deciding that she wants to go to college and learn Japanese.
Yes.
Not have ever
Never studied
learned
anything.
Japanese
No.
before.
No.
Okay.
Yep.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. And, I went to school, and I really tried to engage as much as possible with anything related to Japan at my university. So I actually worked in the Japan Study Office,
Okay.
which was the kind of program office that organized all of the study abroad to Japan through the university.
Gotcha.
So I worked in that office for 4 years as a student aide. And so that gave me the opportunity to learn kind of office work and also intermingle with guests from Japan and kind of really just brush up my skills as a professional. So that kind of helped me in that regard. And
Sure. Well, because you learn the language, but you also need to learn the culture.
Yes.
Which is so much more important.
yes, so much more.
Yeah. Like, I mean, something that we may do here could be totally offensive somewhere else.
Yes.
Probably a lot of things we do here is offensive, but anyway, we're
I
just
have
Americans.
some stories of that if you would like later.
Yeah, well, sure, we'll get to that here in a little bit. But no, so you go to college, you don't know a lick of Japanese.
No. Yep.
To study Japanese
Yes.
in college.
Yes.
Okay, and
that
how did
was
that
my
go?
that was my focus. That was my main focus. So, I mean, there are times I will say I did struggle, but like I said, I really tried to immerse myself. So we actually at the time had around 20 to 30 exchange students from universities in Japan actually studying at our university every year.
Okay.
So I became a TA so that I could work with them and also kind of help them learn English, but also they could help me with my Japanese.
Right.
I also, instead of fraternities at my university, we had language houses. So for 1 year,
Oh.
I actually lived in the Japan house. So if you're inside Japan house, you have to speak Japanese
Uh-huh.
the entire time. So it makes you really use the language.
Okay.
And that's what's important when you're learning another language is you can study it, but if you don't use it, you will not commit it to memory and it will not come out when you want it to come out.
Sure, or it comes out all wrong.
Yes, all jurgled.
No, that is amazing. And is the Japanese language a hard one to learn?
Yes, it's one of the hardest languages actually for native English speakers to learn.
Really?
It's,
Okay.
Another one is Arabic. So
Okay.
those are the two hardest for native English speakers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, okay, so you graduate from college.
Yes. So actually, kind of going back a little bit, I actually did study abroad.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes. So I went and studied abroad in Iwate, Japan, which is the northern part of the Japanese island. And I studied there for 4 months, and I lived there with a host family. So I got to experience the host stay kind of thing as well. And honestly, that was the best experience of my life. After just being there just for 4 months, I was like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go home.
No homesick.
No homesick.
I can't wait to get back to America. I miss cheeseburgers and...
No. I mean, my host family, they were great. Even to this day, we're still in contact. They're really like my second family now. And I just had an amazing experience while I was there. And so I was like, I have to get back. So I came back to America, finished my last year. And when I graduated, I was actually offered a job back where I had studied abroad to be an English teacher.
Very cool. Okay, wait. This is mind-blowing. So you go to college to learn Japanese to teach English.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I mean,
so good.
It happens, you know. So, but that was only for a 2-year contract.
Okay.
So, and, you know, I enjoyed teaching. It was a wonderful experience. But teaching is not necessarily for me. So...
Listen, I think there are things on this earth that you're born to do. And if you're not born to be a teacher...
Definitely not English teaching is not
and a nurse is another one. Like, you're just either are or you aren't.
Yep.
Don't try to force it.
Yeah. Well, I definitely was like, I couldn't, they would ask me questions like, why is it this way? Well, I don't know why it's that way. It just is.
Because it's America and we're weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, so for me, that was the most difficult because, you know, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. So I didn't have the training actually to be able to explain to them why it is that way or how to kind of instill that knowledge into them that made sense that they could utilize that.
Well, it's because English doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's that too,
English language.
I mean, so, you know, after that, I started looking for work in Tokyo.
Okay.
So I started searching online and doing like recruiters and things like that. And I'd actually gotten hired by a event company to do events.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So again, 4-H helped me to be able to do different skills in event planning and things like that. So I was like, I'm ready. I can do this.
Sure.
So I did that for a while. But in Japan, actually, we have a company called, like, they're called black companies. So black company means they do not follow the correct labor laws. So they might make you work long hours. They might not pay you in different things. So there are kind of like the not so good companies.
I see.
So unfortunately, my second job in Japan was one of those companies.
Aha.
And it was a very tough challenge, but I overcame it.
But a good learning lesson.
Definitely a good learning experience.
Of what not to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
What to look out for. And, you know, I actually, being a foreigner in Japan, it is kind of a daunting thing, you know, especially when you do have issues with a company or, you know, that's your livelihood. So I actually had to do a lot of research. I ended up going and talking to the labor bureau in Japan, in Tokyo, and really I figured out everything that was okay, that was not okay. And so it really helped me to grow in that sense and be more knowledgeable about working in Japan.
Sure.
So
that actually helped.
Yes, definitely. Because my next job, I actually ended up working at a university in Japan.
Okay.
So my first job at the university, I actually worked in the International Exchange Office. And I was in charge of around 100 international students and about 150 Japanese students that wanted to work part-time at the university.
Okay.
So I had to teach them leadership, team building exercises, how to work together. And the biggest challenge actually was getting the international students and the Japanese students to actually come together and work as a team.
Okay, yeah.
That was the most difficult challenge we had. And how I actually kind of got this accomplished was I created a leadership camp, based it off of 4-H.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I actually contacted Erin Daly. Shout out to Erin. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Erin. I neighbor.
She really did give me a lot of great advice, and we actually put together a 2-day, 1-night camping trip for
Very
150 students, and they did a variety of activities in English and Japanese, and they had to overcome the communication barrier. And that was really the challenge, was they didn't want to use their second language. They were afraid of miscommunication, or they just weren't confident in their ability, and so they were just like, I don't want to try. But
So you don't want to fail.
Right. Nobody wants to fail.
We're all afraid of that.
Yeah, nobody wants to fail. But if you don't try, you'll never succeed. And so this camp really helped them to kind of get out of that funk, I guess you could say, and really utilize their skills that they had. And a lot of them after the camp, because I made them write journals. gotta know what you guys are feeling, So.
They're hating you at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the journals actually talked about how they really enjoyed all the activities and being able to use their language, and they made new friends.
Yeah.
So there's nothing better than that,
Exactly.
And then I actually ended up getting transferred at some point because another person from the university had quit. So they needed another native speaker in a different section. So I was then transferred to career services.
Uh-huh.
So this is where my experience with the Labor Bureau and things really, paid off.
Okay.
So I was able to, I had to meet with students every day, whether it was consultation for getting ready for job hunting.
Sure.
So in Japan, they actually have it's like a season where they specifically look for jobs for new hires.
Really?
Yes. And it's extremely difficult and stressful. Extremely. So during this time, you have to really prepare them. So that's working on their resumes, getting them ready for job interviews. And job interviews are so strict in Japan.
Really?
They want you from the time you enter the door. There's a specific way to enter the door, a specific way to sit down, greet people, and a specific way to leave the interview. So you have to practice these almost mannerisms to be ready and on point for your actual interview. And, here in America, maybe we'll only apply to a handful and, hope we get it. But for Japanese students and international students who are studying in Japan, they have to apply anywhere from 50 to 200 in some companies and hope and pray that they actually get just 1 or 2 job offers.
Wow.
Yes, it's a very stressful thing because most of the time they are rejected because it's everyone's
so
applying.
competitive.
Yeah, it's so competitive because they're all applying at the same time. So if you have one thing wrong in your resume or just one way, like you sat down wrong.
You walked in wrong.
Yeah, it's done.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's also really hard for like a career advisor is because you also have to deal with the students that have been rejected. Mm-hmm. And after, your 50th rejection, you're kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore.
You're defeated.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
you have to really encourage them along the way and really hope and, work with them like, okay, what do you think went wrong? Let's work on that. And so you come really close, you get really close with the students that you're working with. And, also they come to you and they're like, I have this part-time job and it's like, this is what's happening. Oh, that's not okay. You need to talk to someone. Go talk to the Labor Bureau.
Yes. Okay.
So,
I have a guy for that.
Yes, I have a guy. Here's his card.
Yes.
So.
Because trust me, I've been there and done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's helped me. Even though it
Sure.
was a tough time for me at that moment, it was great that I actually got to
Absolutely.
experience it. And so I can help others overcome that.
Well, very good.
Thank you.
So, what are you doing in Japan at this time? Obviously, you're not in Japan right now.
Yeah, right now I'm in Jackson. So in Japan, I actually work at a company called Happoen. Happoen, traditionally, we were a wedding company, but we have now also started doing MICE events. Do you know what MICE stands for?
Not Mickey?
No, not Mickey.
No, okay.
So MICE stands for Meeting, Incentive Tours, Conferences, and Events.
Okay.
So we actually have around 14 banquet rooms, and they're all different styles. We actually often host, for example, fashion shows. We also
Cool.
host a lot of dramas. So dramas or TV commercials and things like that.
Okay.
So
Is this one of the rooms?
Oh, yes. So this is actually one of the events that we have hosted. It's called Matsuri Japan. So we actually bring in different types of dances or traditional games or foods and host this huge event during the summer. So you can come and experience Japanese festival culture by this event. So say you can't travel outside of like that particular like Tokyo area, you can go to this event and experience many different areas of dance and things and food especially.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, so, and we also, right next to our facility is a 400-year-old Japanese garden. So actually, here's a picture. So we have...
that's too bad you have to work there.
It's really...
Look at that!
So we actually have a pond located in the center of our garden, and it has 250 koi, and 5 of them are golden, and it said if you find one, you're going to have luck. So we always encourage people when they visit our garden to look for the gold koi. So, and here's a great view of our garden from above. This actually used to be an estate. So we actually, this was actually an estate that was, again, 400 years ago. So the shogunate had actually gifted this to one of the people in his party. And over time, it's passed through hands. But the last owner of it was... that made like the major changes that we see here today was Kuhara Funosuke, and he's actually the creator of Hitachi, the Japanese company. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
It's quite a large company.
Yes.
So he actually was the founder of Hitachi, and he lived there and actually made a lot of the changes that we see in the garden today. So when I say changes, we actually have historical relics in our garden. So we have 2 tea houses, we have lanterns, we have just all kinds of stuff there. So we always tell people to try and find those different things. And we also tell them along the way, you know, we actually have a walking guide so you can listen to the historical facts and things like that.
Fun.
Yeah, so that was one of my projects I did.
Of course you did.
Yes. Like probably one of the most interesting facts is actually one of our tea houses. It was actually from a different prefecture. And the owner at that time, he commissioned for it to be pretty much picked up as is and brought all the way to Tokyo. Now, this is back before there was really heavy machinery and stuff like that. So what they did was, it's really a unique kind of story. They removed every single telephone light pole that they had at that time, moved these obstacles out of the way just so that they could move this building to this location.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's crazy stories like that inside of our garden.
Yeah.
And also one thing I didn't mention, if you know bonsai trees.
Yes.
We actually have a huge collection of bonsai trees in our garden. Some of which, the oldest one is actually 525 years old. That's right. Yes.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yes. So our garden is really one of our main focal points for a lot of people, just because throughout the year, the garden changes with every season. So you can enjoy the sakura in the springtime, you can enjoy the fall, autumn leaves, and you can also in summer, just lush green. And in spring, there's also other flowers and stuff. And winter is also very beautiful too. Just a nice icy land, winter wonderland.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Climate-wise, is it comparable to here in Ohio, or?
Ironically, we're on the same, like, thing. What is it? Longitude line? Latitude, longitude? One of the lines. We're on the same lines. We're on the same line.
Really? So weather patterns are similar.
Yes. So
good.
The only difference is in Tokyo we have earthquakes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Not really. Not really fun. But,
no, that doesn't sound fun at all. But is it like, do you get desensitized to it a little bit?
Yes. Sometimes it's just, if it's a small one, it's just...
You're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go again.
Like, if it's a big one, I'm like, do I need to get up and grab my TV? Is that going to fall over? Oh, yep, I need to grab that. So, it's, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, after a while, you just get used to it. And, you know, we also have a alarm system. So we actually, on our cell phones, it will make this really annoying beep like an alarm that's like an earthquake is coming.
Okay. So they know.
Yeah.
Or
For the
sometimes,
most part,
yeah.
they know. So they're able to give us some warning, and it's usually only if it's a big one.
Okay.
So if it's a small one, then most of the time it doesn't.
Whatever.
Yeah. So
no news is good news,
yes,
right?
no news is good news. But yeah. But also going back to my word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is good.
Well, something else that we also do is we actually host different events, as I mentioned.
Yes.
So one of the things I do is actually create videos. So I either create videos of the events that we're doing, or promotional videos, or archive videos. Sometimes we actually get outside requests to host or create different videos for different outside events.
Okay.
So actually one of them I did for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
we have actually, and then we'll get to your Olympics experience here in just a moment, because you were actually able to participate
Yes.
and work there
Yes.
and volunteer. And so that's really neat. But so tell us about the video, because we have a clip of it here. Tell us about that. How did that come to be?
So actually my company was, we actually participated in something called Host Town. So this was kind of a precursor to the 2020 Olympics.
Okay.
So all of the the athletes, they actually came to Japan, and vice versa, the different prefectures or states, as they're called, so prefectures, they would send delegations over as well. But they would do these kind of exchange events.
Okay.
So whether that was learning about the culture from the other person, or trying the food from that area. One of the big projects that we did too, our chefs, we have a lot of chefs.
Mm-hmm.
So they would take a popular dish maybe in that country and utilize Japanese ingredients from kind of like the sister city that they were teamed up with.
Okay.
And then they would create this dish, usually using those ingredients from that town to create this country's dish. And so it was kind of like a good way for them to come together and really
Sure.
work on some type of project. So we did different things like that. And well, one of the things that came up was, oh, the Olympics are just around the corner. We need to have safety videos.
And we have this thing called COVID and
Yes.
some other things going on.
Yes. So in order to make sure, people are following kind of the rules that had been implemented, we got a request, can you make a very funny video that kind of informs everybody of these rules? So I was given a day and a half.
No.
Yes. I was given a day and a half to create kind of like, actually the concept I had to come up with in about 30 minutes. And then I sent it off to kind of like the project manager, had it approved. And within the next day I had to do shooting, and we hired some outside actors and things like that. But it's very fast paced.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Very
So,
good. So this video, is this for the athletes to watch to
Yes.
remind them how to be safe?
yes. So
Okay.
we played it actually in a lot of the lunch-rooms. So it just continuously played on loop for them. So that's why they were like, please make it
It needed
funny.
to be funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Not
Yes,
annoying.
not annoying, and something that, would be entertaining to watch. And,
Yeah.
each time you watch it, you kind of realize there's other things happening in the video. So we threw some funny things going on in the backgrounds a lot of the time. So people who watched it many times are like, I didn't see that the first time. I'm like, now you did.
For the 50th time that you've
Yes.
now watched this,
For
now
the
you
50th
saw
time,
it.
Now you saw it. Yes, exactly.
All right, well, let's play the video because it's really, really funny and super cute.
In the following video, we would like to outline a few safety measures to help protect yourself and others against the spread of COVID-19. We kindly ask that athletes and team officials abide by the following safety measures. Please wear a face mask at all times except when eating or drinking. When wearing a face mask, make sure that your mask is worn properly and covers both your nose and mouth. Perfect! Please wear a face mask at all times except when eating or drinking. Before entering or leaving a facility or partaking in any food or drinks, please be sure to disinfect your hands regularly. You will find hand washing stations throughout the facility, in addition to hand disinfectant placed at the entrance of each room. Step 1. Please wash your hands with hand soap. Step 2. Rinse. Step 3. Wash your hands with the iodine solution. Step 4. Rinse. Step 5. Dry your hands. Please do not use personal towels. Only use the provided paper towels. Step 6. Put garbage into the appropriate receptacles. Step 7. Use hand sanitizer. Perfect! Please disinfect your hands regularly with the provided hand sanitizers when entering and leaving a facility or before partaking in any food or drinks. When waiting in line, do not crowd around others. Instead, please...
That's so cute, and we don't want to play the whole video. It's a little bit long, and we'd rather talk with you, but no, that's so good, and you came up with that fast.
Yes. I was just like, okay, we have these different things. What can we do? Oh, there's like this, and you know, what is something that's Japanese that people would find entertaining? And so I actually just took a piece of paper and I sketched out, you know, different stuff, and I was like, here's my idea. What do you think? And they were like, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, we're on a roll. We're doing this.
And half hour later, here we go.
Yeah. So
no, that's amazing. And so that was actually for the Olympic athletes.
Yes.
To play. So very cool. So
thank you.
Girl from Jackson does safety video for the Olympics. Pretty neat stuff. So let's talk for a minute before we get to the Olympics about, you know, it's really hard to talk with someone and not about their experiences with the pandemic and COVID. And how did things in Japan go?
Well, my company took...
Was it fast? It was faster than here. Like
pretty fast, yeah.
Y'all had it there first before it came here, or no?
I'm not for sure on when it hit exactly.
Okay.
But I think we officially started having... Maybe like action was starting to take place around maybe February, March of 2020. Yeah, 2020.
So that would be about the same time.
Yeah. And honestly, like as soon as things were in the works, my company took action like that. So we immediately switched from working in the office to telework.
Okay.
So they immediately implemented, we actually have, around 33 countermeasures implemented at my office now.
Okay.
So that includes not only for customers, but also for our teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to my office, I have to go to the office. We have to wash our hands with 2 different soaps, actually in the video, like that.
Yep.
Well, not exactly like that.
Okay, so there's running water in Japan.
Yes, there is running
that
water.
was just a fun cultural
Yes, yeah.
thing, yes.
But we have to take our temperature, and then we have to report everything.
Okay.
So once you pass
kind of
that,
the same as here then.
Yeah. And then we also started implementing, you know, of course, like the panels when people are talking and the non-touch stuff. So we have kind of like the electronic money. So we actually can just touch the thing.
Gotcha.
You know, so you don't have to handle anything.
You know, most people move to another country and, well, most people never have guts enough to do anything that you have just told us that you've done. So super proud of you for that.
Thank you.
But that being said, you're sitting in another country and you're thinking, you know, there's a global pandemic here. Maybe I should get my butt home. Are you thinking that, or are you saying I'm home and I'm good?
I was kind of more like, I can't leave. They will not let me back in.
Gotcha. Okay.
So of course I wanted to come home and visit my family and friends, but my life is in Japan. So that's where my livelihood is, my apartment, everything.
So you need to stay there to protect your being there.
Yes.
And how does that work with visas and things like that? How do you live in Japan?
So I actually have a working visa.
Okay.
So there are different types of visas, of course. So if you're a student, you get a student visa. If you're a teacher, you get an instructor visa.
Okay.
And different things like that. So mine is actually a working visa, though, in humanities. So I actually have a 5-year visa. They also have different lengths, like from 1 to 3 to 5 years.
Okay. And what's the process of achieving that like?
It really just depends on what the government is kind of looking at your investment into the country. So
their government or our government?
Japan.
Okay.
So Japan, whenever you apply, let's say even though I apply for a 5-year visa, they might only grant me 1 year or 3 years.
Okay.
And so that's because they're looking at what is my involvement in Japan? Am I invested in it? What am I contributing to the society?
You have to prove your worth.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
And your intention toward the country. I mean, it makes sense.
And it also plays a factor into what your company is. So if your company is a well-known company and you're showing that you're working, you're going to get usually the visa that you apply for, especially if you have been in Japan for as long as I have. So I've been lucky, and I've always gotten either 5-year visas or 3-year visa.
Okay.
So 3-year was when I first arrived in Japan.
So then so every 5 years, kind of like a passport or something, you have to go and apply again.
Yes.
And what's that like?
Right now, my company actually takes care of everything for me. So I just tell them, hey, my, it's called a residence card.
Okay.
So my residence card is about to expire. It's essentially like a license, and I just say I need this renewed, and I fill out the paperwork. I give it to them. They take care of everything for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Not really stressful, other than just when is it going to arrive?
Yeah. Oh no. Are the people going to come and take me out of my apartment?
I mean it's like a license. You're really not supposed to drive without a license on you.
Yeah.
So in Japan, because I am a foreigner and I'm not a permanent resident, I have to have my license with me at all times to prove that I am actually legal.
There legally.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So when I don't have it, that part is stressful. And so like you have to get a paper that's specifically signed that says, it's in processing. But
right on.
That can be a little stressful waiting for that, but otherwise it's no problem.
Well, very good. I wondered about that, just the legalities of it, or just we could probably do a show on that.
Oh, yeah, like totally.
So how often do you make it back to the States? And I know the pandemic has obviously affected the way people travel and that kind of stuff.
I usually try to get back home to Jackson at least once a year.
Okay.
And I usually try to be here for Christmas just because my family really wants to see me. And, that's the time of the year you're supposed to spend with your family. And
sure.
So, but because of COVID, unfortunately, I wasn't able to come back for almost 3 years.
Wow.
So there was a lot of things that just happened, and it just wasn't written in the stars. So, but I was very fortunate this time because my company did switch over to do telework. I'm able to actually work while I'm here in town.
Right.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate, and they let me come back for 2 months actually. So I've been here for a little bit.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat. And I think that people are realizing that, wait, I can do this from anywhere.
Yeah. So definitely possible.
I mean, if you can work in Jackson, Ohio, and you're supposed to be in Japan, you can do anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
So let's talk about quickly, because I do want to talk about your Olympics experience, because that's really cool. I don't know anybody else that I know that has actually gotten to participate at the Olympics, but let's talk about the culture for a minute, like comparisons between Appalachian, Ohio, and Japan.
Okay.
Or I guess so. There's Appalachia, and then there's the United States, and then there's Japan, right? So
right.
Is it throughout the country? How big is the country of Japan?
Oh goodness,
is it huge, or is it?
Well, it's comparable to the state of California.
Okay.
So the United States definitely outbeats.
Gotcha.
Japan in terms of size.
Land-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are there, as in the United States, every state is unique in the
Yes.
United States, and that's what kind of makes it cool.
Yes.
Is it that way in Japan as well?
It is. So
Yeah.
instead of states, we have prefectures.
Okay.
So each prefecture is known for something. So, for example, there's a prefecture called Aomori. So it's known for apples.
Oh.
Like how Jackson's known for apples as well.
Hey.
Like Apple Festival,
Yeah.
So they too have an apple festival and different things. So each prefecture has their thing that they're known for.
Okay.
It could be, it could be a fruit, a vegetable, or it could be an actual type of food. It could be a festival, a type of dance, anything.
Okay.
So each one has their own thing that they're known for.
All right. That's
Yeah.
really neat. And then, just the way people are.
Mm-hmm.
How are people more polite? Are they?
Well,
I don't know. Anything interesting that you can tell us.
I would say that Japan succeeds the most probably in hospitality.
Okay.
So I actually was talking, I went shopping recently, and I was talking with the sales clerk. And I had mentioned I was, I'm living in Japan and things like that. And we just talked about the service industry for a minute.
Yes.
Because technically my company is the service industry.
Sure.
So we work with weddings and events and things like that. But for example, if I went to a store and I wanted to buy something, let's say here in the States, I just grab my stuff, put it on the counter, they check it out, pay my money, give me my bag, or just place it on the counter and I go.
Out you go.
Yeah. But in Japan, let's say you've got a whole cart of something. So you place it on the register. They will say, okay, so you have 1 item, 2 items, 3 items, to make sure that you didn't maybe get double of something, or make sure that they're actually counting how many of things that you did get. Maybe you were like, oh, wait, you put 3 on here instead of 4, that kind of thing. But after you've checked out everything, they will bag it for you, or they might even wrap it if it's a special event. And once they're done, they will come from around the corner, hand it to you with both hands, and then bow to you.
Aww.
And they will watch you until you walk out the door, and then they'll bow again. So it's very kind of personable.
Yeah.
And just the hospitality is just, it's something, I miss it when I come actually to America.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
You're
so
on your
used
own
to
here.
it. I'm just so used to it. So.
I mean, check out your own groceries
Yeah.
and get out.
Yeah. Well, even that, Kroger's, you go through the self-checkout line, you do all that stuff, But in Japan, even our self-checkout lines, half the time, somebody will scan it for you, put it in the bag, and you just have to pay at the end of the line.
So your self-checkout's really not a self-checkout.
Yeah, but you don't have to talk to them if you don't want to. They just
Gotcha.
take your basket for you, do it for you, put it in the baggie, and then they're like, you're paid down there. That's essentially it. Yeah.
How fun. Now, you were talking about shopping. So clothes-wise, attire.
Japan is for small people.
Well,
I'm just going to say, it's for small people. Not for me. Yeah, unfortunate.
so what? Okay, what would a normal, I guess, native Japanese small person wear every day versus we Americans?
Well, okay, so in America, maybe we'll go to the store in like jersey or pajamas and things like that sometimes. Japanese people will not be caught dead walking out of their house in pajamas.
Okay.
And
Not gonna happen.
No, never going to happen. And they really like to be really dressing very nice every day.
Okay.
So many people will dress up even just going to the store, going for a coffee with friends, or driving their kids to school or other things. Like they make sure that they're dressed pretty much very nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, but the lovely lady that was in your video
Yes.
wearing the kind of kimono
Mhm.
outfit, would that be something that someone would wear every day, or is that more of a celebratory?
So in that case, that was actually a courtesan. So that would
Okay.
be from a long time ago.
Okay.
But Actually, we have another picture with geisha that are
Okay.
wearing kimono. Yes, this one. So
There they are. Okay.
these kimono people would wear either for a special event. Now this was an actual event, so the geisha actually performed during this event. But
Aw.
you would see on daily if there was some type of event for that family. Maybe somebody had a birthday, or
Okay.
they actually celebrate the different kind of ages of children. So specifically, like 3, 5, and 7, they have a big celebration at a shrine, and everyone dresses up in really elaborate kimono like that.
More traditional.
Yes.
Okay.
So more traditional, and
Very
especially
cool.
for graduation, you'll see everybody wearing. They're usually hakama is the style of dress that most people wear, but some
Okay.
people wear kimono. Or we actually have for young adults coming of age ceremony. So when they become 20, that's when they're officially recognized as an adult.
Okay.
And so they have this huge celebration at the town center, and everybody dresses up in traditional wear or even sometimes tuxedos, and they go all out for it.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
in Japan, officially 20 is when you're officially allowed to drink. So that's why it's a big celebration.
Heck yeah. Party on.
Party on, Garth.
So what do you get into, food-wise and all of that? I guess I'm wondering from, as a Native American, does that sound right?
Well-
Wait, that sounds weird.
Well, actually, I am
As an
Native
American, yeah, I mean, oh, well, that too.
Yeah,
but
that too.
That's a whole different,
That's a whole different thing.
as an American, I guess I should say.
Yes.
You go there, and obviously there's different cultures and things like that. So, food-wise, what it would be the traditional? Oh, I see some pictures.
Yes, actually, so these are some food dishes that my company creates.
Okay.
So we have,
Neat.
this is shaved ice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so pretty.
Yeah, so it's shaved ice with matcha or green tea flavoring.
Yes.
And then on top of it are beans. And then mochi is the white kind of like round
Yeah.
thing on the side there. And that's pounded rice.
Okay.
So, but in terms of food though, and here even this is our shabu shabu set. So we have, this is beef, and you put it in a broth and kind of cook it with the vegetables and things like that. And
Sounds fantastic.
truly, I eat Japanese food more than I eat American food half the time.
I assume it's just as here, though. There's diverse
Yes.
restaurants and things like that.
Yes.
Of all different cultures.
Yes. So
Cool.
we also have Uber Eats, of course.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Right?
Yeah, So truly,
That is dangerous, by the way.
It is. It can be very dangerous.
Like,
Very
oh,
dangerous.
I just have anything I want at my
Yes.
fingertips. I'm going to call Uber Eats.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't order that, but I'm going
But
to.
I'm going to. Because I can.
Yes. Tokyo, though, is very diverse in
Mhm.
terms of food. So you can honestly almost find anywhere, like any type of food.
Super.
So there's tons of curry shops, like from India or Nepal. There's Vietnamese, there's Chinese. I actually had Israel food not that long ago, and
cool.
there's pretty much anything there.
So same as here then.
Yeah.
So is Tokyo, would you kind of liken it? Because I know, you see the pictures and whatnot of like New York City of like, what the heck is that called? Times Square. You see
Yeah.
like the big signs like that.
Yeah.
Is it kind of, is that what it would remind you of? Or?
Yes, it's very comparable to Times Square in terms of that. But even Tokyo itself is very diverse. So you can go to the little different towns inside Tokyo,
Sure.
and they're totally different atmosphere. So
Gotcha.
there's honestly a little bit of everything for everyone there. So
That's so neat.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on because we have about 10 minutes or so left to your Olympics experience.
Yes.
And how did you get to be, obviously the Tokyo Olympics were supposed to happen last year, didn't
Yes.
happen last year.
Yes.
They were able to actually succeed and doing a wonderful job this year. But how did you get involved in that? And what did you get to do?
Well, so I actually saw that, they're coming to Tokyo. So that was a big announcement. And me and some of my friends, we were like, we should really sign up for this and see if we can, participate.
Sure.
So, you have to submit an application, and they will actually interview you before you're actually selected. So once you're interviewed, then you're placed, then, we got to kind of figure out where we were going to be and things like that. But it was supposed to only be like a 1.5-year commitment, turned in more to a 2.5-year commitment.
Considering it got pushed back a little bit.
Yes. So that just meant that we had to do, instead of in-person kind of training, online training, or like different kind of online resources, reading and stuff like that.
Okay. So did you get to choose like what venue you worked at, or were you assigned?
No. So we were assigned.
There you are.
Yes, that's me. And that was one of the teams that I worked with. So
good.
You got to list up to 3 things that you were interested in. So I had put I wanted to do either events or I think translation for the athletes or something. But I was selected for events.
Okay.
Now, for events, though, then you don't really get to choose what event you're going to work at.
Okay.
So they kind of place you. And it was just ironic. I got put in rowing. I have no idea about rowing. So I was like, oh, goodness, what am I going to do? Like, do I need to know anything about rowing?
Yeah, what am I going to have to do here?
Yeah, so I attended that and the training beforehand, and they were just like, okay, so events team, you're going to be doing maybe this type of work, and they explained it and everything. And I actually ended up working in several locations.
Okay.
So for the rowing team, I actually worked in the office. So I either had to announce.
There's all the.
Yep, there's some of the boats.
Wait, what are they called? Are they called boats?
Why'd you ask me that?
She doesn't know.
I would call it a boat. Yep.
Looks like a boat to me.
Yep, it's
a
boat.
skinny one.
But there were so many of these boats.
Yes.
And these were just the ones that were outside. We actually had them in bays, like garage-like things, and that's where they kept them. And actually, at one point, we did have a typhoon, so we actually had to take all the boats inside the garages and things like that. So that was a very interesting day to prepare for that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I worked in the office for the boating kind of team. So that meant I either had to, for example, get the mail for all of the athletes, make sure they had the roster for the upcoming races. We actually also had to take all of the video footage and put them on USBs and give them to each team.
Okay.
So after each race, so that they could see the different racing kind of footage or whatever and study it. So then I also did security. So I was at security checkpoints throughout.
Were you like, Rrr.
Well, I had to chase a couple people.
Did you?
I did.
Fun.
I did. We had these huge name cards, and they had numbers on them. And so if they didn't have the correct number, they were not allowed to enter. So at one point, we have to rotate because it's the middle of summer, and it's so humid in Japan, and the sun is just blaring down on people.
Sure.
So the people that are outside rotate with the people that are inside of a different kind of area that's shaded. So we'll rotate. And I guess during the rotation, this girl she was Japanese and she couldn't really speak English. And so she just let these people in. And when I got there, I looked back and I was like, do they have the correct number? And everybody goes, and I have to go up to them and I'm like, can I see your card? And it turns out they didn't have the correct number.
Oh.
And they were taking pictures of athletes and other things. And I was like, you have to leave.
Oh.
And I had to escort them out. And then they had camera bags and they had them all over the place. So I had to drag them out too. And
oh, no.
Yeah. So that happened once, maybe twice.
Girl.
Yeah. It was an experience though. We also did kind of cloak. So if an athlete had a bag, they would come to the cloak section and we would give them a number and take their stuff and hold their luggage for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you're a concierge on top of all of that?
Yes. Yes, on top of everything else. We did other things too, like getting ice. So athletes get a certain pound of ice every day to
Okay.
put on their muscles and things like that.
Sure.
So we had to drag the ice in golf carts. And
Oh, that sounds fun.
yes, and also, if Coca-Cola was a sponsor, so that we had Coke products, so we had to refill the containers and things like that.
Gotcha.
And so there was just a lot of different jobs going on. And ironically, when I first showed up there, like the first day, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I got there and I was like, nobody's at the location they said to meet at. And so I had actually started walking around after I passed all security, and I saw like the main person. I was like, hey, where exactly do I need to go? And so they just sent me to one location, and then they were like, oh, but we need people up here. Can you go there? So I would run around doing all kinds of stuff. And I mean, it was a fun experience. And, having worked on different teams in the past,
Sure.
it actually really helped me because I could tell immediately, maybe if I was in one section, there wasn't a leader sometimes. So somebody had actually created an Excel sheet to kind of create the rotation schedule and things like that. But they had done it to where it didn't make sense anymore. They would write the names in the spot that it shouldn't go. And so it was like, oh, this person's supposed to be here, but they're not here. And it's like, we should switch that.
Yeah. Somebody got to take charge of this situation a little bit.
So sometimes I had to step up and be like, okay, every 5 minutes, let's figure this out.
Yes, right.
So, but yeah.
So did you get to see any American athletes? Did you get to talk with anybody there?
Honestly, we met athletes every single day.
Yeah, sure.
And I was very fortunate. I actually got a rowing pin from the U.S. team.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if you know, but in the Olympics, they actually have badges for each sport. And so it's a thing. They pass these badges out. They like trade them. It's almost like Pokemon cards. You take cards and you get some of the back. So I had actually gotten the U.S. rowing team one and also the one for Taipei.
Okay.
It was very pretty. So I was like, I need that. But I mean, I didn't get to, how can I say, like have in-depth conversations like this. But, you get to meet the athletes every morning, greet them, how was your race? Congratulations on, winning.
Yeah,
and
so fun.
There were sometimes the athletes, after they won, they would actually take pictures with the volunteers like us. So they would hold up their medal and, take the pictures with them. And we actually had a really interesting story that happened.
Okay.
I wasn't there that day, but I heard about it. So actually, a track athlete had accidentally gotten on the wrong bus and had ended up at the rowing facility, which is completely on separate ends of the town. So
that's bad.
Yeah, and it was his race day. And so he's supposed to have already been at the track, warming up, getting ready and things like that. And so he's asking, like, how can I get back to, like, that part, that track? And
no.
They were telling him, well, the next bus, unfortunately, doesn't come until, like, an hour or two later. And he's like, I'll miss my race by then. So actually a volunteer had called a taxi for him and paid for it to get him to the track.
Aww.
And he actually got gold.
What?
Yeah, he actually won gold.
That is insane.
Yeah. So there's just crazy stories like that happen just, by showing kindness to someone.
Yeah.
And he actually came back after the race and took a picture with her and let her hold it. And I guess also, I think some official from his country was like, we're going to pay for you to come to our country and we're going to, like, take care of you and have
celebrate.
Yeah,
you.
pretty much. Yeah. So it's just funny stories like that just happen, and
how cool. Yeah, you can't plan for that.
Nope, definitely can't. So
for your Olympics experience, I know it was a lot of work. Is it something that you would do again?
I would definitely do it again. Honestly, it was a really great experience. I met a lot of great people. Now there are things I definitely learned from this time, like I'll get it next time. Like the pin badges. Didn't know about that. Didn't know. So, but honestly, it was overall an amazing experience.
Good.
I definitely will look back on this and, treasure it. So
very good. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, we are coming up on time. Is there anything what would you like to tell our viewers about your life and your experiences in Japan?
Don't be afraid to go for the things that you really want to. If you're really wanting to try something, don't be your worst enemy. So
get out your own head.
Yep. If you really want to do something and you really want to like go out there and do it, just do it. Like
that.
Yeah, that's all I can really say. So.
Well, you're living proof of somebody that just made up their mind to do something and made it happen. So good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually, just kind of speaking about getting out of your own mind, I don't know if we have time, but
sure.
I had actually, for the longest time, really wanted to learn Japanese dance.
Uh-huh.
And after the pandemic and things like that, I was like, I'm going to do this. I kept making excuses, and I finally was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I actually attend school now, and actually in August, I had my first performance, actually. I got to dance on stage in front of a live audience in Tokyo. And
what?
Yeah, so, here's like a small clip of it. That's actually, it's a large curtain.
Oh.
And they raise it up and everything, and yep, there it goes.
Wait, are you going to dance for
Yeah,
us?
that's me.
This is so cool.
So I actually study Wakayagi Ryu is the type of dance.
Okay.
And it's very similar to kabuki. Do you know what kabuki is?
No.
So kabuki is like the Japanese theater kind of performances, the people that wear like white and red makeup and hair.
Okay.
Yes, so this dance style we actually do very similar. So there's a lot of stomping and things like that. There I started.
Good
and
for
it's
you.
Lots of slow movements, and the whole time the beat is so hard to pay attention to while dancing, and so this was something I was just like, I really want to do, and yeah. And actually, this coming Saturday, I'm going to try and hold a workshop for people that are interested, that want to try this. I actually have a bunch of yukata available, so if people want to try wearing one of these and to try and learn this dance even. So this dance is actually a very well-known geisha dance.
Okay.
So geisha in Japan will actually dance this dance for performances. So I'll actually be hosting that hopefully this weekend.
Where is that?
I'm going to probably do it at Jackson Christian Church.
Okay.
So just down the road there.
All right. Very good.
Yeah. But I'll post that on Facebook if anyone's interested. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. You have to follow Miss Rosa here. Well, very good. Thank you so much for hanging with us today.
No problem.
It's been fun. And will you promise to come back whenever you're back in town?
I definitely will.
Yeah. Let us know about some of your more of your experiences.
Yes, we have much more to talk about.
Yes, we do. We do. All right. Well, Miss Rosa Aldridge, thank you so much for spending the morning with us and telling us about a lot of your Japanese experiences. That is so cool. So
thank you.
We have a couple more videos that Rosa sent me.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could end the show with one of those. So
Sure.
I have a garden video and I have the Matsuri video. Which one do you think would be
Let's do
good
the garden
to end
one.
on?
The garden
All right.
one's really nice.
All right.
All right.
So Jen, if you want to say goodbye and we'll end on that.
all right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we will be back here tomorrow. So let's see some more of the beauty of Japan.